Hello, legends. Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got 5 NFL plays to go through, but before we do, let's go through Thursday night's NFL recap. First up, we had Khalil Shakir to go over 43.5 receiving yards. It took him a while to get going, but in the fourth quarter, he cleared the number comfortably, cashing with those nice, easy short receptions to push him over the line. Second play was James Cook over 2.5 receptions. Similar story here, and it came down to the fourth quarter, but he managed to get us over that 2.5 and lock in another winner. The final play for Thursday was Josh Allen over 6.5 rush attempts. The read was that in a competitive script, he'd use his legs often, but with the way the game played out and them chasing late, he finished 2 attempts short of the mark. The script was there, just the result didn't quite follow. So we finished Thursday Night Football with a 2-1 result. Happy to come out in the green, and now the focus shifts to Sunday night, where there are 5 more NFL plays to break down for you. Let's dive straight into those Sunday plays. With the first play, I am going with Breece Hall over 18.5 receiving yards, and here is why the Ravens come into this one as big favorites. So this projects as a clear negative game script for the Jets, where they're forced to throw the ball to try and keep up. Hall is one of their primary offensive weapons, and should be involved in the game plan however they can get him the ball. He should see some short, efficient passes, and get those easy yards. Ravens also run one of the highest rates of man coverage in the league, and Hall has been extremely efficient against man, putting up around 3.44 yards per route run in that look. The receptions market backs this up as well, with Hall's over 2.5 receptions already heavily juiced, suggesting books are expecting him to be involved through the air. When Hall has seen at least 3 receptions this season, he has cleared this 18.5-yard line in all 3 of those games, averaging 34.3 receiving yards. Putting all of that together, big underdog, pass-heavy script, strong efficiency versus man coverage, and proven production when he gets a modest target share, Breece Hall over 18.5 receiving yards is the first play. With the second play, I'm going with Rome Odunze over 50.5 receiving yards, and here's why. The Steelers are the league's worst defense against wide receivers, allowing the most receiving yards to the position. The Steelers play man coverage at the 5th highest rate in the NFL, and when Odunze faces man coverage, he averages an impressive 2.63 yards per route run. I'm expecting a close game where the passing attack is going to be crucial, and Odunze should see a heavy target share. All of his big yardage games this season have come against man defenses. He put up 128 yards against the Lions, 114 yards versus the Ravens, and 86 yards against the Giants. That's a consistent pattern of thriving against man coverage, especially on tough opponents. Given the matchup and his production trend, over 50.5 receiving yards is the second play. For the third play, I'm taking Trey McBride to go over 75.5 receiving yards, and here's why. The Jaguars give up the 8th most receiving yards in the NFL, and they surrender the most yards to McBride's position. While they tend to play zone coverage at the 13th highest rate league-wide, McBride has been effective against zone defense, averaging 2.02 yards per route run. His over 7.5 receptions line is already heavily juiced. When McBride has received 7 or more receptions this season, he has cleared the 75.5 receiving yards line 2 out of 5 times, averaging about 88 yards in those games. Over the last 2 weeks, he's seen a significant uptick in target share. 9 receptions for 127 yards against the Seahawks, and 10 receptions for 115 yards against the 49ers, both teams that also employ a high rate of zone coverage. So, with the favorable matchup, his recent usage, and his efficiency against zone, Trey McBride over 75.5 receiving yards is my third play. The fourth play I'm going with is Amon-Ra St. Brown over 77.5 receiving yards, and here's why. The Giants give up the 11th most receiving yards in the NFL, but it gets even more interesting when you look at slot receivers. They allow the 8th most yards to that position. With Laporta injured, St. Brown is going to be the main man on the field and should be targeted heavily throughout the game. The Giants play the highest rate of man coverage in the league, and St. Brown averages 2.93 yards per route run against man coverage. Given the high game total, I'm expecting a pass-heavy script, which means plenty of chances for St. Brown to go over his yardage line. In his previous game without Laporta, he saw 12 targets, but only 2 receptions, so I'm expecting a lot more efficiency and a big bounce-back performance this time around. So with the pass-heavy script and the bounce-back coming, I'm taking St. Brown over 77.5 receiving yards. With the 5th and final play, I'm going with Joe Flacco over 37.5 pass attempts, and here's why. The Patriots come in ranked as the fifth weakest defense against quarterbacks, so Flacco should have plenty of opportunities to throw. When Flacco faces teams that deploy 30% or more man coverage, he's gone over this pass attempt line 4 out of 6 times, averaging about 41.2 attempts. Over the entire season, quarterbacks are going over their pass attempt line 7 out of 11 times. The Giants have a very good rush defense, so I'm expecting Flacco to pass even more. With a high game total and the Bengals to be behind most of the game, Joe Flacco over 37.5 pass attempts is the fifth and final play. So, the 5 plays we're taking on the NFL slate tonight. First up, Breece Hall over 18.5 receiving yards. The Ravens are big favorites, so expect a pass-heavy script, and Hall should be getting some easy receptions against their man defense. Second, Rome Odunze over 50.5 receiving yards. The Steelers have the league's worst wide receiver defense, and Odunze is thriving against man coverage, so he's primed for a big day. Third, Trey McBride over 75.5 receiving yards. The Jaguars give up a ton of yards to his position, especially in zone coverage, and McBride's target volume has exploded recently. Fourth, Amon-Ra St. Brown over 77.5 receiving yards. With Laporta out, he's the primary target and facing the NFL's top man defense, but he's highly efficient against that scheme and should see a pass-heavy script. And finally, Joe Flacco over 37.5 pass attempts. The Patriots rank as one of the weakest defenses versus QBs, the Giants have a strong rush defense, and Flacco has a history of exceeding this line against man-heavy defenses. That's it for today's plays. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more daily insights. Drop a comment with your thoughts or any plays you're targeting this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.